Let us explore crisis, anxiety, and meditation. There's a myth that if one is truly spiritual, they will feel nothing other than peace and love. But that is grossly inaccurate. What is the seventh fold of the Buddha's eightfold path? Mindfulness. What is the first enlightenment factor? Also mindfulness. Mindfulness is not concentration. Mindfulness is noticing something in a particular way. Mindfulness is noticing something vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly. Mindfulness is messy. What are some of the things that we are wired, thanks to our sympathetic nervous system, what are some of the things that we are wired to notice? We're wired to notice our perceptions. Sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, and the like, including emotions, all of them, intentions, cognitions, recollections, and imaginings. We have evolved to perceive the external and the internal, the physical and the mental, the pleasurable and the painful, the interesting and the boring, the glorious and the grotesque. So what are we to do with this three-ring circus of experience? We can practice meditation during our exhalation by silently and mentally reciting the one-syllable verb ease, that we might cooperate with our parasympathetic nervous system to physically relax and mentally release whatever it is that we noticed during our previous inhalation. Aha, he said. He said the word release. But what does that mean? Release does not mean shove away. Release does not mean we close our eyes and say, la la la, there's no problem. No. It means we let go of our resistance to the experience. We do not push, we do not pull, we do not cling. Whatever comes, we let it come. Whatever stays, we let it stay. Whatever goes, we let it go. Now, one could say, hey man, aren't I being asked to be a doormat? No. So here's the thing. The fringe benefit of regularly playing with mindfulness and meditation at least once every 12 hours or so is that our choices and our utterances and our deeds begin to flow from the right or effortless effort of love's centered spontaneity. Not to be confused with the scattered spontaneity we might experience after chugging 3 energy drinks. No, the centered spontaneity that comes from sitting regularly in mindfulness and meditation. So when the big scary happens, when the fascist comes to power, when there are hurricanes, when there are wildfires, we get to be human. We get to feel the full spectrum of human emotions, but we also get to process them in such a way that we are not their slaves. We evolve to experience um, terror and rage as a survival mechanism, not as a default mode. And mindfulness and meditation keep terror and rage as on the shelf, as survival tools for when we have to protect children from a rampaging bear, right? Not for when we have to drive on the freeway. So So the mindfulness and the meditation help us to process the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. And inevitably, there will come a day when we die, peacefully or uh, violently, in the distant future, or the two close present. When that comes, we might not have a say over how our story ends. But if we have cultivated the habit of mindfulness and meditation, at least we can transition with a modicum of peace. Of course, I'm broadcasting this, I'm streaming this from Los Angeles County, which is being visited by multiple uh, untamed fires as we speak. And so I conclude the opening lesson and invite you to shift gears with me. Whoops, let's try that again. It is Ahsoka Tano Thursday evening. Come, let us meditate like a Jedi after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I've spent about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation so that I could become your nerdy, neurodivergent guide to nirvana. Just as Jesus said the kingdom of heaven is within you, similarly, nirvana is not some place in the clouds. It's just getting so good at the Buddha's Eightfold Path that we practice it spontaneously, habitually, easily, and effectively. Welcome, my friends, to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. What I'd like to do right now is switch over to this evening's practice text. Please chant with me. Whatever comes, may all beings let it come. Whatever stays, may all beings let it stay. Whatever goes, may all beings let it go. Welcome to the first of 5 mindful crease counting meditations. Let's rest the great knuckle at the base of our right little finger upon the tip of our left little finger, palms up, or I should say palms up in our lap. Doing so could gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to automatically coalesce in the bladder region of our lower abdomen. Now let us practice mindfulness during our inhalation by silently and mentally reciting the demonstrative pronoun this, that, vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly we might notice mind's antics. Let us practice meditation during our exhalation as silently and mentally we recite the one-syllable verb ease, that we might physically relax and that we might relax into mind's non-graspable nature. Come, let's practice. One moment. Together as a team, let us chant the 7-point posture of Vairochana. We're going to chant in a monotone with the exception of the first syllable and the second to last syllable of every triplet or every couplet. Let's dig in. Our mind dwells in our central nervous system, and our central nervous system dwells in our physical body of flesh, blood, and bone. The advantage to this is that we could make subtle adjustments to the manner in which we sit, thus enhancing the duration and profundity of our practice of meditation. The Mahasiddhas or great Buddhist yogis of India and Tibet organized the sitting instructions. I think it would work better if I did it this way. In and out loud, known as the 7-point posture of Vairochana. The first point concerns on legs. We could find a so-called Mexican yoga blanket online for about $20. We could fold it in such a manner as to approximate a 24 by 18 inch rectangle. May we remember to wash it weekly, for the work of sitting could be sweaty business. The majority of contemporary contemplative art depicts the Buddha sitting in a full lotus posture. What an excellent example of the effect of patriarchy's toxic elitism upon art. For few can comfortably and sustainably assume that posture or asana for 2 hours daily. The most ancient Buddhist art, however, depicts Gautama sitting in what some would describe as merely the quarter lotus posture, wherein one leg lays flat upon the other like a sandwich. It is important, therefore, to remember that our hips are ball joints, whereas our knees are merely hinge joints. So, quick like a bunny. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and make this a 12-point spacer. And copy. Treating them that T should be an S. No wonder I had trouble chanting it. Treating them as if they were as omnidirectional as our hip joints could lead to needless and unnecessary injury. By experimenting with our hip joints, we could rest our insteps upon the blanket, instead of the bony crowns of our ankles, which would be needlessly painful. After a lifetime of sitting in chairs, the quarter lotus pose could feel like an impossibility. May we therefore remember not to force the posture. Once we have assumed as sustainable a version of this posture as we can, we could surrender to temporary imperfection, allowing time and gravity to work the so-called magic as they return our bodies to a semblance of the flexibility we once enjoyed as toddlers. Oh, look, I replaced the S with an N. Oh, how creative. Many find that by setting a circular meditation cushion or zafu upon their folded yoga blanket and resting one's tush upon it enhances both the short-term comfort as well as long-term endurance of our sitting. We could find a zafu online for about $15. The better ones are filled with buckwheat hulls and have a side zipper through which we could add more holes once the old ones have settled. The second point concerns our hands, which we explored in great detail in a previous chapter discussing Bengali crease counting. The third point concerns our spine. With each inhalation, we could generate a vertical traction between our tush and the back of our head. Ah, look at that. That's an excellent opportunity to use this diagram. Excellent. Or as they say in The Simpsons, excellent. Let's hit paste and do it again. Doop, doop, doop. Here we go. So allow me to recapture the momentum. Let's begin with the word "the" at the top of the page. The third point concerns our spine. With each inhalation, we could generate a vertical traction between our tush and the back of our head. As if we were pulling our head out of the warm, dark place we seem to sometimes keep it. During each exhalation, we are wired to subtly relax this traction. Ooh, I have an idea. Let's do this and hit that. Now let's bring this bad boy over yonder and see if we can give it the old stretcheroonie. Almost. Almost. That's close enough for government work. During each exhalation, we are wired to subtly relax this traction. The fourth point concerns our shoulder blades or scapula. With each inhalation, the vertical traction of our spine could gently open our shoulder blades in a manner reminiscent of a hungry vulture spreading its wings to protect its meal from greedy competitors. This would be, you know what, here's what I think I'll do right now. I'm going to add an image of a vulture doing just that. Please bear with me. I'll only be 5 or 6 hours. Just joking. Okay, here we go. Let's see here. VULTURES. Images. There we go. That'll work nicely. I'm going to hit copy. And now I'm going to saunter back to the text. Behold me sauntering. Okay. So first it's going to be a mess. Brace yourself for a mess. Behold the mess. Now I'm going to hit wrap text. And let's see. Okay, and I think I can do a better job of centering it. There's the green line of despair. With each inhalation, the vertical traction of our spine could gently open our shoulder blades in in a manner reminiscent of a hungry vulture spreading its wings to protect its meal from greedy competitors. Vultures are often referenced in Buddhist teachings as a reminder of the inevitability of the various forms of impermanence, which although inconvenient and sometimes frightening, could aid our training in release and letting go. The fifth point concerns our head, which with each inhalation subtly dropping our chin down towards our breastbone or sternum could be the natural consequence of subtly pulling the back of our head up while simultaneously opening our shoulder blades. These 6-point concerns our mouth which eat with These 6-point concerns our mouth with each inhalation, our lips could subtly part, as the tip of our tongue could gingerly touch the roof of our mouth just behind our incisors. The 7th and final point concerns our eyes. Although some insist there are supernatural benefits to be had from staring at either the sky or the horizon, our inhalations kinesiological momentum of spinal traction, scapula opening and chin dropping, strongly infer that softly gazing down toward the floor or earth at a place about 1 or 2 meters before us is most sustainable. Yes, the 7-point posture of Vairochana could feel overwhelming. Let's do a little Vairochana, just to make it easier on folks. Yes, the 7-point posture of Vairochana could feel overwhelming. May we give ourselves permission to have a learning curve and allow the upward organization of the 7 points of leg, spine, shoulder blades, house, mouth, and gaze to gently and organically guide us with each inhalation. Doing so, we cannot help but relish each exhalation subtle release. Like the archetype of the Buddha, may we too practice mindfulness and meditation. Like the archetype of Gautama the Buddha, may we too practice mindfulness and meditation. What am I looking for? Oh yes, I'm over here. Excellent, excellent. Okay, so let's venture back to the practice text. Welcome to the second of 5 mindful crease counting meditations. I should say the second of 5 mindful crease counting meditations. Let's rest the great knuckle at the base of our right ring finger upon the tip of our left ring finger, palms up in our lap. Doing so could gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to automatically coalesce in the navel region of our mid-abdomen. During our inhalation, let us vulnerably notice mind's antics, and during our exhalation, let us relax into mind's non-graspable nature. One of my teachers was heavy into contemplation and discouraged meditation. He eventually died of a stroke, or he had a massive stroke, lost the ability to speak, and died shortly thereafter. We cannot outthink our emotions, but we can notice them and we can relax, living in harmony with our autonomic nervous system is the quick path to nirvana. Welcome to the third of 5 mindful crease counting meditations. Let us rest the great knuckle at the base of our right middle finger, upon the tip of our left middle finger, palms up in our lap. Doing so could gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to automatically coalesce at the heart region of our chest. Let us watch the play of mind and relax into its non-graspable nature. So, this noticing is during our inhalation is the natural function of our sympathetic nervous system. This relaxing during our exhalation is the natural function of our parasympathetic nervous system. This is why the Dzogchen texts described the practice as being effortless, because all we're doing is letting our body do what it already wants to do without fighting it. Together, let us chant the chapter on Guru selection, and it would appear I get to begin with a bit of an edit. So I'm going to hopefully find the right document. I think this is it. Let's try this and see if it works. Fabulous. With so many teachers and authors offering to teach us how to meditate, often for a substantial fee, how are we to know upon which teacher or technique we should rely? Should we rely upon the teacher with the greatest beauty, fame, popularity, acclaim, wealth, resume, credentials, or letters of recommendation? No, and no. The proof of the pudding is in the tasting, and we test the effectiveness of a teacher's guidance in the laboratory of our body and mind. Here's how. First, we find a teacher regardless of gender or nationality and request teachings. Oops, that's redundant. Let's make it instruction. There we go. Then we enthusiastically practice the technique we are given for at least 5 minutes every 12 hours or so for 7 consecutive days. Note if we're not up to the task of practicing thusly, then the selection of a teacher is simply not our biggest problem. After the conclusion of the second practice on the 7th day, we vulnerably gaze within and ask, has this week of practice increased my peace and love? If yes, then mazel tov, you found a teacher from whom you could benefit. If not, then follow up with that teacher if they won't or can't help you. Then to hell with them, find a better teacher for you at this time. Know the test of a teacher's wisdom is not whether his teachings match with our preconceptions. Such a metric will only ensure we'll never grow beyond where we're at now. And for goodness sake, let us not put ourselves in the hands of a greedy fool who would sell the Buddha's teachings. For although optional donations could be lovely, the greatest offering we could make. Oh, I think it would be better if I simply Ooh, that's an error. Let's try that again. For although optional donations could be lovely, the greatest offering we could make is simply the enthusiastic application of teachers' instructions. If we wish to follow in the footsteps of the Buddha, be he real or merely archetypical, then we must bring a scientist's curiosity and enthusiasm to be methodical into a spiritual journey. If it sounds inconvenient, maybe even a little scary, there is probably a very good reason for that, but is it worth the inconvenience? The Buddha thought so, that is why the Buddha The Buddha thought so, that is why Gautama devoted his talents and time to teaching mindfulness and meditation. Kawabunga. Okay, here we go. Welcome to the fourth of fifth mindful crease counting meditations. Together as a team, let us rest the tip of each of our four left fingers upon the great knuckles of our right hand. Let us invert this and rest it palms up in our lap. Whoops. Doing so could gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to automatically coalesce at the region of our throat that feels like it tightens just before we cry. Welcome aboard. Let's meditate. The essence of mindfulness is as follows. Each time we inhale, whether we know it or not, we are wired to automatically access the sympathetic nervous system ensconced within the middle third of our spinal cord. This bad boy has evolved to help us to notice in a very special way, to help us to notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly. But to notice what, you might ask? We have evolved to notice mind's antics of perception. You know, seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, smelling, and the like, including emotions, intentions, cognitions, recollections, and imaginings. Each time we silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during our inhalation, we interrupt our cerebral cortex, the habit of our cerebral cortex to compete against our parasympathetic nervous system. And having interrupted it, we open space for these two kids to cooperate. But what are we to do with all this stuff that we noticed? Each time we meditate, oopsie, let's try that again. Let's meditate. Each time we exhale, whether we know it or not, we are wired to automatically access the parasympathetic nervous system, which is divided between the lower third and the upper third of that same spinal cord. This parasympathetic nervous system has evolved to help us both physically relax and mentally release whatever it is that we noticed during our previous inhalation, causing that which we noticed to fleetingly feel less graspable. Each time we silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during our exhalation, we interrupt the habit of our cerebral cortex to compete against our parasympathetic nervous system. And having interrupted that pattern, we open space for these two to cooperate. In essence, let us notice with each inhalation, let us notice the antics of mind. With each exhalation, let us relax into mind's non-graspable nature. We come now to the fifth of 5 mindful crease counting meditations. Let's rest the great knuckle at the base of our right index finger upon the tip of our left index finger, palms up in our lap. Doing so could gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to automatically coalesce at the crown area of our head. Let us passively notice mind's antics and relax into its non-graspable nature. You have taken your first step into a much larger world. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. Oopsie, wrong button. In approximately 13 hours, I would very much like to return to lead tomorrow's morning meditation class and group practice. And if you are, oopsie, wrong button. If you are as geeky as me, may the force be with you always.